Sup guys, it's Oliver the IELTS here again. We're gonna be doing Cambridge IELTS 8 test 2 reading passage 2. The passage is about the little age, and if you have already figured out the first type of questions about list of headings, and the next one is about summary completion by using the words, right? And the next one is about the matching names here, right? Classifying names, and let's try to do our best in terms of the list of headings. And so in order to begin the headings, so we do not have to read every single list of headings here. However, we will begin just by reading passage A, B, C, and D. So however, it seems we don't have to read passage A as it's been written for us. It's been done for us, and let's just cross them out. So let's just cross out number 8 and number 5 here, which means it's just been done for us, right? And try to read passage B here. The Little Ice Age lasted from roughly 1300 until in the middle of the 19th century. So just it's giving us information about the duration, right? The duration. So from 13 to 19th, and only 2 centuries ago, Europe experienced a cycle of bitterly cold. Only 2 centuries ago, right? Europe experienced a cycle of bitterly cold winters. Mountain glaciers in the Swiss Alps were the lowest in the recorded memory. So the lowest here referring to the word maybe a little ice age, and pack ice surrounded Iceland for much of the year. Surrounded much of the year. And the climatic events of the Ice Age did more than help shape the modern world. So shaping modern world, they are the deeply important context for the current unprecedented global warming. Unprecedented, right? The Little Ice Age was far from a deep freeze, however, rather an irregular seesaw of rapid climatic shifts, few lasting more than a quarter century, right? Quarter, and driven by complex and still little understood interactions between the atmosphere and the oceans. The seesaw brought cycles of intensely cold winters, easterly winds, then switched abruptly to years heavy spring and early rains, summer rains, mild winters, and frequent Atlantic storms, or to period of droughts, light northeasterly winds, and summer heat waves. All right, and just let's pay attention here. Only 2 centuries ago, so it had happened. So here, and it was kind of cycle of bitterly cold winter, mountain glacier, and helped shaping modern world, right? However, the seesaw brought cycles of intensely cold winters and easterly winds, then switched to, which means change it to abruptly to years of heavy spring, early summer rains, mild winters, frequent Atlantic storms, or to period of droughts, light northeasterly winds, and summer heat waves. So let's just try to do one more time, okay? Right, it's not about food, it's not about 1,000 years, and not about weather record, right? So weather record, no weather records covering 1,000 years, food loss, human impact, city contribution, relevance, today, and predicting changes. Mm, just out of this headings, only number two somehow can look like so, because we had this here. The climatic events of the Eliza did more than help shape the world today. Okay. They are deeply important context for the current, yes, this is the keyword, current. All right. So the climatic events of the Eliza did more than help shape the modern world today. Relevance today. They are deeply important contexts for the current global warming, modern world. And this is the reason why I'm just putting 14 here, number 2. Okay. So paragraph C has been done for us, and paragraph D. This book is a narrative history of climatic shifts during the past 10 centuries. And during the past 10 centuries are referring to I think definitely referring to the word 1,000 years, right? And some of the ways in which people in Europe adapted them. One describes the medieval warm period, roughly 1200. These 3 centuries, Norse voyagers from northern America, Europe, explored northern seas, settled Greenland, visited North America. It wasn't a time of uniform warms for them. As always, since the Great Ice Age, there were constant shifts in the rainfall and temperature. In Europe, and temperature were about the same as today, perhaps slightly cooler. Slightly cooler contribute. No, predicting. So this is definitely talking about a covering 1,000 years, right? Because this book can be a direct synonym to the word study, and narrative history, which means covering in 1,000 years, 10 centuries, right? So just let's try to write 15 here. The word 15, sorry, my bad. 15, and it will be 70, right? So paragraph E. It's known that Little Ice Age's cooling began in Greenland in Arctic in about 1200, as the Arctic ice pack spread southward. Norse voyages to the west were rerouted to the open Atlantic, rerouting, right? And which means changing, and then ended altogether. Storminess increased in the North Atlantic and North Sea. Colder, much wetter weather descended on Europe between 1315, 1319, when thousands perished in continent-wide famine. By 1400s, the weather had become decidedly more unpredictable and stormier, with sudden shifts and low temperatures that culminated in the cold decades of the late 16th century. Fish were a vital commodity in growing towns and cities. Okay. Where food supplies were a constant concern, dried cod, herring were already the staples of European fish trade, but changes in water temperature forced fishing fleet to work further offshore. Kind of human impact, right? The Basques, Dutch, and English developed the first offshore fishing boats adapted to a colder and stormier Atlantic. The gradual agricultural revolution in northern Europe stemmed from concerns over food supplies at a time of rising population, right? Revolution involved intensive commercial farming, growing of animal fodder on land not previously used for crops. The increased productivity from farmland made some countries self-sufficient in grain and livestock, offered effective protection against famine. And I think it's not gonna be number 4, how, because it's not talking about human impact at the end. Just so let's try to pay attention this. Okay, I mean, so the revolution involved intensive commercial farming. Growing of animal fodder on land was not previously used for crops. Not previously used for crops, right? Increased productivity from farmland made some countries self-sufficient in grain. Self-sufficient, that's the key word. And livestock. Self-sufficient livestock. Effective protection against famine. Protection against famine. Enough food, right? This is gonna be the right answer here. Enough food. And number 16 here. And global temperatures began to rise slowly after 1850 with the beginning of the modern warm period. So began to rise softly, beginning of the modern warm period. There was a vast migration from Europe by land-hungry farmers and others, to which the famine caused by the Irish potato blight contributed. To North America, Australia, New Zealand, in Southern Africa, millions of hectares of forest and woodland fell before the Newcomers Acts. So human impact would be, right? Intensive European farming methods expanded across the world. All right. Unprecedented land clearance released vast quantities of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Climate. This is the key word, climate. And we have human impact and the climate at the same time. However, if you ever paid attention here, we had human impact. However, we didn't have climate. And we had food. That's why I had to put 16 here. But here, just it's driving me to put a which one? So 4. I think so, but let's wait. Okay, let's wait. Triggering for the first time, humanly caused global warming. Humanly caused. I think that's all. That's all. And without question, okay, undoubtedly, I'm gonna be putting 16, 17 here, which means F. So human impact number 4. And this is all for list of headings. Let's just try to move on to the next one. It's about question 18 to 22, whether during the Little Ice Age. Okay, let's try to make it look like, kind of more convenient for us, right? All right, documentation of past weather. So let's try to highlight keywords which could help us to figure out the right answers in short time. Okay, documentation of past weather conditions is limited. Documentation of past weather conditions limited. Our main source of knowledge condition is in the distant past are something and something. So they should come together in the text. We can deduce the Little Ice Age was a time of something rather than a consistent phrasing. Within it, there were some periods of very cold winters, others of something and heavy rain, and yet others that saw no rain at all. No rain. Do we have that word? No rain, dry weather. So, droughts, right? Droughts. Saw droughts. Two periods of droughts with no rain at all, yet others that saw two periods. So, droughts, climatic shifts, ice cores, tree rings, weather observations, written accounts, interaction, storms, glaciers, heat waves, summer heat waves, which is going to be the letter G here, heat waves. Okay. Because the droughts could be a synonym to no rain, right? And this word just helps me to figure out the right answer in a short period, right? And heavy rain. Others of something in heavy rain. Heavy. Do we have storms? This is the keyword. Storm. Summer rains. Summer rains. Early summer rains. And within it, there were some period of very cold winters. Very cold. Intensively cold winter. This is the keyword. Intensively cold winter equals very cold winters, right? And I think the word storm should be the right answer here. 21, storm. My bad. Storm. So heat waves has just storms here. And we can deduce that little ice age was a time of something. And so the little ice age was far from a deep freeze, however, rather an irregular seesaw of rapid climatic shifts. This is the keyword here. Rapid climatic shifts. And of course, 20 in climatic shifts. Okay, documentation. Do we have here? Analyze lessons from roughly, okay, past weather condition, past 2 centuries ago. Of course, only 2 centuries ago. Distant past are, okay? And climatic shifts, let's just try to make them bold. And ice cores, tree rings, weather observation, interaction, glacier. Okay. Experience a cycle of bitterly cold winters. Mountain glaciers in the South Alps were the lowest in the recorded memory. Pack ice surrounded. It looks like mountain glaciers and pack ice are the answer, right? However, I don't see the right answer here because there is no a solid synonym to the words documentation of the past weather condition is limited our main source of knowledge of conditions. Main source of knowledge. Do we have this keyword? So let's move on to the next paragraph here. Okay. So the reconstruction, the climate change of the past is extremely difficult because systematic weather observations began only a few centuries ago. Systematic weather observation. Kind of similar to the word documentation, right? In Europe and North America, records from India and tropical Africa are given more recent. Okay. And for the time before records began, we have only proxy records. Reconstructed largely main source, right? from 3 rings and ice cores. This is the keyword. I mean, the right answer here lies. And so this one should be 3 ring, right? And this one should be ice cores. And I think it's not so important to, I mean, to shift the letters CB or BC here, because if I put B and C, which means you cannot see there is a change here. I mean, in terms of the meaning in the text. So okay, CB, BC, it doesn't matter, no worries. Okay, and the last one. Okay, the last one is about a classifying names, or I mean information. It's not about names, it's like information, events, right? We have 3 types of events: medieval warm period, medieval, right? This is the keyword, little ice age, and modern warm period. So let's just do our best to highlight, I mean, with different colors in the text. So do we have medieval, little modern, little ice age? We have the keyword here, little ice age. And I mean, I would suggest you guys to, for the, I mean, first of all, we have to figure out the keywords, and maybe in the next step it would be much more easier compare, I mean, to locate the answers, to make your decisions right correctly. So little ice age, we have little ice age here, and medieval modern, little ice age we have here, right? So, and little medieval, we have, do we have, so medieval warm period, medieval warm period here, and little ice age. As you see, we have several facts in terms of little ice age, because the topic is about little ice age, right? In our saying, so let's try to focus on the words here. Modern warm period, we have this here. The little ice age is here as well, right? So now I'm going to do my best to read. Okay, so global temperatures began to rise slowly after 1850 with the beginning of the modern warm period. So began to rise slowly. There was a vast migration from Europe by land hungry farmers and others, to which the famine caused by the Irish potato blight contributed to North America, Australia, New Zealand, and Southern Africa. And millions of hectares of forest and woodland fell before the newcomers acts between 1850 and 1890 as intensive European farming methods expanded across the world. Unprecedented. So let's try. Many Europeans started farming abroad. The cutting down of trees began to affect the climate. Cutting down, cutting down. Europeans discovered other lands, changes took place in fishing patterns. Mm, mm, mm. And as long as you just pay attention here, I mean, there was a vast migration from Europe by land hungry farmers and others. So they are migrating out of Europe to abroad, right? Farming abroad, Europeans. So this is gonna be C here, and cutting down of trees began to affect the climate. And let's try to figure out whether it can be C, B, or A. Okay, millions of hectares of forest and woodland fell. Okay, and cutting down is happening here, affect the climate, and fell before. And intensive European farming methods expand across the world. Unprecedented land clearance releases vast quantities of carbon dioxide into atmosphere, triggering for the first time humanly caused warming global, right? So this is totally gonna be letter C here. And migration to Europe 23, and this is going to be a atmosphere or global warming, right? 24 here. Okay, I think this has just we have just put two C's here, and just let's pay attention to medieval warm period. Do we have medieval warm periods here? This book is a narrative history of a climatic shifts during the past 10 centuries and some of the ways in which people in Europe adapted to them. Part 1 describes the medieval warm period, roughly 900 to 1200. So, during these 3 centuries, Norse voyagers from Northern Europe explored northern seas, settled Greenland, and visited North America. It wasn't a time for uniform warmth. For then, as always, since the Great Ice Age, there were constant shifts in rainfall and temperature. So Europeans discovered other lands. Of course it is. Because voyagers, right? Norse voyagers from Northern Europe explored northern seas, and they settled Greenland, and they visited North America by exploring, by discovering other lands. Of course it is. And that's why it's going to be 25 here, which means medieval warm period, right? And change took place in fishing patterns. I think I saw fishing, right? Where it was. Fishing. Do we have the word fishing here in the text? Okay, fishing. So we don't have fishing here. And fishing. Do we have fishing patterns? Fishing, yes. Okay. And undoubtedly it's going to be Lysight here. That's why. And just let's try to write down 26 here. Okay, so this is all for today. Thank you.